Next year, anyone from outside the EU can apply for EU citizenship as long as they're prepared to pay €650,000. Now, these are not plans in the works or political hot air. The agreement has already been passed into law here, with Parliament approving it last month. But it's already drawing criticism here, with many Maltese divided on the issue.
You're supposed to deserve a citizenship, to prove yourself or something, like Americans do, like a lot of other countries. But to sell me the passport, outrageous, outrageous.
No, I'm definitely against the selling of passports.
Why?
Because passports are not commodities which can sell.
Others, however, see nothing wrong with the plan, as long as the money is injected into the economy and it trickles down to them.
I don't think it's a bad idea, because they can take it for nothing.
What do you mean?
For example, if they marry a foreigner, comes and marry a Maltese woman, he still gets it.
So selling it for €650,000 is an okay price to pay?
I think so. If they really don't want foreigners to come here, they have to close a lot of loopholes. At least for like this, they're getting a good sum of money.
Well, that sum of money will give you full voting rights on the island. More importantly, it comes with the full perks of European Union citizenship, including Schengen borderless travel to move freely through Europe's 28 countries and a United States visa waiver to travel freely to the US. Many EU countries have schemes or mechanisms to speed up the citizenship process for wealthy investors. But Malta will give applicants a passport without requiring them to live in the country first.
To tell us more about the scheme, Isa joins us in our London studio now, back from Malta and La Valletta. Isa, this isn't the only European country to be doing this. Spain, Portugal, which is where you come from, have already opened their doors to other citizens who can buy big chunks of Lisbon and Madrid. But the key here is that they don't have to be a resident, do they?
That's exactly it. I think the key here that it's much less stringent than what you get in Portugal, that you get in Cyprus and in the UK, which is much more expensive. But you know, here the concern that we're having here is that the policy measures that might come in are not very strict. And really, that's what the government needs to focus on. Now, it's obviously, as you heard from those people there, that some people found it disgraceful. Or whichever way you stand, whichever way you stand, it is profitable. It will be profitable for them. The time I was there in La Valletta, basically saying to me that the agency which administers the scheme was telling me they expect between 200 to 300 applicants in the first year alone. And the government itself has said it's expected to make €30 million just in the first year, just from these applications. But there is controversy back in Malta, and there's talk of that it might need tweaking. Now, initially, Nina, they wanted to keep the applicants' applications secret, so the name secret, because they thought they actually may get more investment. But now opposition has butted in and basically said, look, this can't happen. This may attract some sort of criminals into our system. So the government's tweaked it slightly. I spoke to Malta's Foreign Affairs Minister, George Vella, who told me, it has been approved, but there's some tinkering that needs to be done before anything goes ahead. Take a listen.
The thinking was trying to attract certain individuals who've got capital, who would come to Malta, who would invest in Malta, and who would help with the economy. It has to be admitted that other countries do have these schemes, possibly different from the one that we launched. And I can tell you that at the moment, even though it has been passed from Parliament, there are ongoing discussions between the government and the opposition to try to make it a little bit more acceptable to the opposition, in the sense that one will have to include possibly the fact that these individuals will also invest a certain amount in Malta. So one will have to be careful not to give the impression that it was sort of a selling of a passport just for the money. It's not that. I mean, there was a system whereby there would be deep investigation of the individual before he comes to be accepted.
But many will still argue that it's too lenient, that perhaps it's a backdoor route to EU residency. What's to say people will not stay here, they will go on to other countries?
There are ways and means of making it more reasonable, more palatable even to the opposition. Why not? And we're a government who are open to suggestions. Why not? But then let's not forget how easy it was for even certain undesirable elements in the past to get hold of a Maltese passport through marrying, by paying a certain amount to an individual and having a marriage of convenience. And eventually ending up with a Maltese passport in hand. This is definitely nothing to compare with that.
So, Issa, I suppose in synopsis, though, other European countries will not want Malta to be used as a backdoor. It's a very small island. They can't actually house all these people who might apply for these passports. Where's this going to lead us? Well,
the problem is it's ruffling a lot of feathers, not just, well, particularly in the UK, because I think
another island state,
yes,
ironically.
Exactly, because their programme is less competitive. It's much easier to get, so the Brits won't be very happy about. But Malta is not the only country to have schemes such as this one, but it is one of the easiest and quickest routes to EU residency. I just want to give you a couple of examples so we put all of Malta's citizenship into perspective. We bring up a graphic that we have. Portugal is actually one of the first countries to introduce this citizenship. It's called the Golden Residence Programme. It's actually been in place since 2002 or so. Now, it requires investors, you see there, requires investors to buy property worth at least €500,000. That's roughly $688,000. In return, they get permanent residency after 5 years, citizenship after 6 years. I think the pilot's moving slightly quicker than I am. Cyprus there, you see, much more lenient. Similar to Malta's programme, applicants need to purchase a residence for a minimum of $413,000. They need to be have a good reputation, pass the security and medical check, and then they get EU passport after 5 years. And then you have the UK, and that's slightly, that's why they're a bit more worried, because Malta's scheme is much more attractive. It's called Tier 1 Investor Visa Programme. You need to invest $1.6 million here in property, stocks and bonds. You need to live here for 5 years before applying for citizenship. And then there's strict requirements, Nina, which is what you mentioned earlier, about how much time you actually spend in the country. So for super wealthy travellers, jet setters, this is not ideal. But Portugal, which is started, like I said, in 2002, is actually, I just want to tell you how much they made. They've actually raised €225 million, and they've given more than 330 visas, mostly to Chinese, Brazilians, Russians, Angolans. So 330 visas for 200-something million. Yeah. Not bad economics when you've got to pay down in European bailout plan, eh?
Absolutely. Thanks very much for that, Issa Suarez.